more. ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
Never before seen video of the Capitol riots played at former President Trump's second impeachment trial. The near misses it shows between senators and rioters. Plus,
I stand before you a woman who has lived in fear of the defendant, Jesse Alvarez, for over a year.
The fiance of a Cathedral Catholic high school teacher addresses his accused killer in court. The emotional letter she read. And it's been almost a year since local students transitioned to distance learning. In a story that's positively San Diego, we're going to show you some of the wins they're celebrating despite the challenges.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
And good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson. I'm joined remotely by my co-anchor, Lindsay Pena. We're going to be checking in with her shortly. But first,
I stand before you, a grief-stricken and heartbroken over the violent murder of my beloved fiancé.
An emotional letter read aloud in court as a man accused of gunning down a popular Cathedral Catholic high school teacher made his first appearance. Our ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us the victim's fiancé made a plea for justice.
Positioned behind a courtroom speaker, Jesse Alvarez nodded his head, confirming his plea of not guilty in the murder of Mario Fierro, his ex-girlfriend's fiancé. Fierro, a high school football coach and teacher at Cathedral Catholic High, was shot and killed outside his North Park home on the morning of February 1st. His fiancée, described by prosecutors as Ms. Doe, filed a restraining order against Alvarez in late 2019, accusing him of stalking and suicidal threats. The court dismissed the case.
In the weeks leading up, the defendant had sought to have 2 semi-automatic firearms altered, painted white, the appearance decoy-like.
Prosecutors say Alvarez also recently tried to get onto the high school campus, where Ms. Doe also worked. According to prosecutors, on the day of the shooting, Alvarez, dressed in all black, drove his brother's car and waited outside Fierro's home for an hour before shooting him multiple times at close range. Prosecutors arguing Alvarez is a danger to Ms. Doe and should be denied bail, reading a letter.
I stand before you, a survivor of domestic violence and abuse, suffered at the hands of the defendant, Jesse Alvarez.
Written by Ms. Doe.
I stand before you, a woman who has lived in fear of the defendant, Jesse Alvarez, for over a year. But above all, I stand before you, a grief-stricken and heartbroken over the violent murder of my beloved fiancé.
Alvarez's lawyers,
whole life he has devoted to helping individuals,
called him a religious man known for his charity work. The judge sided with prosecutors and denied him bail. Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
Prosecutors also described what they found inside Alvarez's home, including clothing with the Cathedral Catholic logo, another gun, and a gun case made to look like a guitar case. Alvarez's preliminary hearing is scheduled for April the 8th.
It is day 2 of President Trump's historic impeachment trial. And today's focus was on new security footage showing how the Capitol attack unfolded and how close protesters came to lawmakers and staff when they breached the complex. ABC's Faith Abube has the latest arguments being made on Capitol Hill.
This case is much worse than someone who falsely shouts fire in a crowded theater.
Lead House impeachment manager Jamie Raskin opening day 2 of Donald Trump's impeachment trial for allegedly inciting the January 6th insurrection, digging at the heart of the former president's defense argument that he's being punished for political speech.
It's more like a case where the town fire chief, who's paid to put out fires, sends a mob not to yell fire in a crowded theater, but to actually set the theater on fire.
Democrats using their allotted 8 hours for the day to lay out their case in chronological order, arguing Trump's betrayal of his oath of office began long before the deadly insurrection.
President Trump's conduct leading up to January 6th was deliberate, planned, and premeditated.
And when the violence began, the House impeachment manager saying Trump did not stop it. Instead, the former president's election lies culminated into a call to action on January 6th.
Democrats are trying to steal the White House. You cannot let them.
The impeachment managers appealing directly to the senators, witnesses of the attack now seated as jurors, unveiling never-before-seen videos of the riot in attempts to give new insight into the extreme violence and risk those inside the Capitol faced.
Officer Goodman passes Senator Mitt Romney and directs him to turn around.
Trump's defense team not expected to begin their opening arguments today, but yesterday defended the former president's free speech rights.
We can't possibly be suggesting that we punish people for political speech in this country.
Each side has up to 16 hours spread over 2 days to make their opening arguments. Democrats plan to wrap up tomorrow, but it's unclear whether the Trump defense team will wait until Friday to take the floor. Faith Abube, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
We'll continue to have live coverage all this week of the impeachment trial on our streaming apps. You can watch by downloading our free 10 News app on your phone or streaming device.
Several updates from Governor Gavin Newsom today about coronavirus efforts all across the state. Today, he was in Fresno, where he announced a milestone. California has now vaccinated more than 5 million people. However, he says the state is still falling short of its goal to get the vaccine more widely available to underserved communities. And while case numbers and hospitalizations are falling, the newer strains of COVID are spreading. That includes a new strain arriving here in California.
As of a few hours ago, we have the first reported cases of South African variants. 2 cases have been reported through Stanford, 1 in Alameda County and 1 in Santa Clara County.
Newsom says he expects a deal to reopen more elementary schools will be reached later this week. Next week, he hopes to reach a deal for more financial aid to small businesses. Starting Friday, the Del Mar Fairgrounds will serve as the latest COVID-19 vaccine supercenter. This one is being run by Scripps Health in the county. Drive-through and walk-up options will be available by appointment only. You can make an appointment on the county website once they're available. The fairgrounds will be the county's 5th superstation, in addition to the sites in downtown, Chula Vista, La Mesa, and San Marcos. And as of yesterday, more than 426,000 people in San Diego County have been vaccinated for COVID-19. More than 81,000 have been fully vaccinated, meaning they have received both shots. During this pandemic, the Airport Innovation Lab at Lindbergh Field is launching a new program focused on health and safety. And as our ABC 10 News reporter Steve Smith explains, it's all about creating a touchless journey for each and every passenger.
The Airport Innovation Lab has been on site at Lindbergh Field since 2018, and with one goal in mind, to shape the future of the airport customer experience.
We're in our 5th cohort. So we have a cohort is basically a group of companies or founders and entrepreneurs that are with us for 4 months, with the focus changing every program.
And due to the pandemic, the current phase is focusing on health and safety.
Which companies or solutions will make it a safe and pleasant experience for our passengers to come through San Diego? You got to make sure people are 6 feet apart. We've got social distancing in place. And so that's kind of how we came to these ideas.
As 6 companies have been selected to test their ideas inside the lab. Everything from touchless tablets to screen boarding passes to sanitary covers on airplane tray tables.
We do have several companies that are focused around these kind of touchless, contactless solutions. And then the other one that we really wanted to focus on as well, solutions that help manage queues or movement of people in internal spaces.
Then at the end of the 4-month program, each company delivers their test phase presentation. A selection panel then decides which company's idea is the best fit for San Diego.
They don't all make it, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are really awesome, but they're not great for San Diego. Maybe they're great for like LAX or someplace else. Some of them are wonderful, but not great for an airport environment at all. And then some of them at the end of the day are wonderful for San Diego, and we want to bring them on site.
I'm Steve Smith, ABC 10 News.
The Innovation Lab sends out information through social media, inviting passengers to participate in the live tests and offer their feedback.
The science is clear. Everyone needs to be wearing a mask when they are in public or when they are in their own home.
That's the director of the CDC talking about new research they just got about wearing masks. Now, she says the best protection is actually having 2 layers, either in one mask or by wearing 2.
In the breathing experiment, having both the source and the receiver wear masks modified to fit better reduce the receiver's exposure by more than 95% compared to no mask at all.
She says it is important that the mask fits snugly over the mouth and the nose.
President Biden says he's still engaging with Republicans on COVID-19 relief, but it's Democrats who will write the legislation, and they can pass it without bipartisan support. ABC's Karen Travers has the latest on the talks from Washington.
The House is moving ahead to turn President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief proposal into legislation.
Putting the American people first.
Democrats last week paving the way to pass a COVID-19 relief bill without any Republican support. But President Biden this week signaling he's still pushing for bipartisan agreement.
As you know, I've met for a long time with my Republican colleagues. I've been exchanging correspondence with them and telephone calls as well to see if there's any way we can follow up beyond where we are.
A proposal from House Democrats this week sets the limit for those receiving a $1,400 direct payment at $75,000 for individuals, $150,000 for couples. President Biden Tuesday indicating his support.
Yes.
The president on Friday will meet at the White House with the bipartisan group of mayors and governors. His COVID relief proposal calls for $350 billion in federal support for state and local governments.
That means keeping cops, firefighters, public health workers, teachers, and other public servants on the job in the fight against the virus. And that means getting help to cities, counties, and states to get vaccines.
The White House will not lay out a timeline for when they want to see a bill get to President Biden's desk for his signature. But with critical benefits like additional weekly unemployment insurance set to expire in mid-March, officials say the clock is ticking. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
You can keep up with any developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just download it, go to the App Store, and search 10 News.
A longtime San Diego police officer is under arrest for stalking his ex-girlfriend. Today, a series of charges were unveiled against Officer Mario Chos. He's been with the department for 18 years. Last June, his ex accused him of harassing her. Chos was relieved of his duties and reassigned during the 8-month investigation. Today, he was charged with felonies for stalking, extortion, and false imprisonment. Chos is due back in court next week. And a troubling investigation at the VA. Investigators say that doctors did unnecessary biopsies to collect samples for a research study that the patients weren't told about. The doctor took those samples of the patients' livers for a study on hepatitis. A whistleblower said patients were not asked for permission to be in that study, and they weren't told the procedure of how it works. The VA said the procedures were warranted. The Federal Office of the Special Counsel has reported its concerns to President Biden for a potential action.